Hey everybody, ronarray here, and in PoE Exile it can be boring to run campaign multiple times for your alternative characters, especially if it takes a lot of time. So in this video I want to share some cool tech and tips that will help you to literally fly through campaign while tapping many bosses with this. I myself finished 10x with 3 laps and all passive death lists in 2 hours and 47 minutes using this method. You can find the video with that run in the description and pinned comment. Check it out because it's really effective. Also, don't forget to check the timestamps as usual, and let's make the campaign experience actually fast and fun. Let's go! So generally, talking about the setup that we currently have. For fast leveling, the most important part is Flasks. You can pretty much buff 70% increased effect, but gain no changes during effect on 2 movement speed flasks of a very low level, like requires level 4 right here. And you can use it without any issue. You will be able to click 1 and gain charges for other flask in case you have an effect of first. And then you will be able to click another and gain charges for the first one at the moment, so you can just click them one by one. That's a very cool technique and it's pretty easy to run it that way. Another really cool recommendation is to use Darkness Enthroned. Darkness Enthroned can provide a lot of additional damage both to you and your minions at the start of the game. For example, here I'm using jewels for myself, like cold and fire damage, and it helps a lot. You can use them from level 1, which is absolutely amazing. At higher levels you can pick even better jewels with more damage and like additional life, for example. So it will be much easier to clear enemies that early. You can also use 7 Leagues stab, which is pretty much obvious pick. However, I recommend to repick it to proper boots around level 40 something, depending on the setup. You can also use a pretty unique thingy called Omen of Brilliance. With Omen of Brilliance, you will receive 100% increased experience bonus for 60 seconds every time when you're leveling up. It's helping early pretty significantly, so it will be much easier to gain your first levels and to maintain that pace. So just try Omen of Brilliance and I'm sure you will like it. They cost only 5 chaos per one, so not a lot of issue with getting a lot of them. I still recommend to run Gold Dream, and I would probably keep it in the build even on higher levels because 40 to all elemental resistances is just absolutely amazing in my opinion. Another very important part that I recommend to take from level 25 is Fog Shade. Fog Shade is an item just completely amazing because it will give you 30% of increased movement speed when you are on full life. It will also give you some evasion, and damage on enemies hitting you is unlucky while you're on full life, so it will feel just very cool and you'll run through the campaign much faster with Fog Shade. Another thing is that I can recommend is pretty much using La Hoop of All. You can get a corrupted version or normal version, but just get the one with a lot of attributes, increased damage, and at least 25 all elemental resistance. It will give you an opportunity to cap your resistance without any issue, and it will be much faster to just proceed through it. As a second twink, you can use Death Rush, for example. It's very cool, it's going to provide you adrenaline, and adrenaline is going to give you 25% additional movement speed, and also physical damage reduction. That's very cool, and you're going to receive it every time when you're killing somebody. So 3 seconds on kill is a very strong buff. You can also try to use Exile Temptation instead of La Hoop, but they're kinda interchangeable and should be repicked depending what do you need at the current moment. So moving forward, I also recommend Flesh and Spirit Iron Scale Gauntlets. Those gauntlets are absolutely insane. They're going to give you Rampage, they're going to give you Regeneration, even if a little, and some attack speed. I really like those and I recommend to try them on almost all your setups. You can also buff Curse enemies with Elemental Weakness on hit, because it's going to help you a lot with your damage. Early access to Elemental Weakness is going to boost your damage significantly, and you're going to feel much better in such cases. You will also need to use 2 swords, one with trigger level 10 Summon Spectral Wolf on kill, and one with grant level 1 Envy skill. Both of them very good, and I recommend to use them at least like level 45, 50. You can also even finish campaign with those, because they're going to give you a lot of additional bonuses, mostly in damage. Envy itself is giving you chaos damage, and wolves are going to kill enemies for you. To maintain the cool bonus by itself, you will need to use essences on them. So click them with essences of fear. So like Weapon Essence of Fear, later on Balin Essence of Fear, Screaming Essence, Shurikenin, and maybe even Deafening later on. So that way you're going to boost the damage of your wolves. But there's a way how you can make them boost your damage. You'll need to allocate Spiritual Aid on your amulet. That could be a little expensive, but it's going to give you a lot of damage early on. So you can take a Karui Ward, for example, or any other amulet that you like and allocate Spiritual Aid here. When you will click your weapons with Essence of Fear, they will have minions deal like 50% increased damage. And you will receive that 50% increased damage too, because with Spiritual Aid, increases and reductions to minion damage also will affect you. That's a very cool bonus, and it should work just perfectly. Another important moment, so if you're going to use like an attack build, you can repick for Rakiata's Dance later on if you prefer. You will need to drop curse enemies with elemental weakness on hit, but then you will be able to just use Rakiata, which is pretty cool. You're going to kill bosses much faster with it, because treat enemy monster elemental resistance values as inverted is a very strong bonus. But if you don't want to use Rakiata, that's perfectly fine. You can just stay with the Rusted Sword right here, not a lot of issues with them, and you're probably going to finish it just fine. So another cool bonus for Wolf setup, just place like melee splash support, minion speed support, and faster attack support into the item with Summon Spectral Wolf on kill bonus. Because that way you're going to give your wolves 3 cool supports that's going to boost their damage significantly. I also recommend to use some tattoos in that setup, so you can get a Ramaka Fleetfoot, for example, or you can get like Ramaka Archer here, which like both of them are very strong bonuses. You can also get Tahoa Herbalist if you prefer like Flask effect duration, because it could be very nice and will give you much more duration to your Quicksilvers, and it should work just fine. Another cool tech is to use Brutal Restraint with Balaba Access. Balaba Access is going to give you a Traitor passive, and this Traitor passive you will receive additional charges for your flask for every empty flask slot. That way if you're just going to use Quicksilvers and 1 life flask, you will have 2 open slots and will receive 8 charges every second for each flask that you currently have. That's an absolutely amazing thing, and you're going to constantly have your Quicksilver flasks in 99% of situations. So try it out, and that's very cool. You will need at least level 20 to get to Brutal Restraint, so keep that part in mind. As an Auras, you can use Purity of Elements if you will need, but in that setup you will have enough survivability and you will have enough resistances. So I recommend to go for Determination and Vitality. That's probably the best setup. Also, if you're not going to use Elemental Weakness and you're going to pick like Rakiatas, you can pick Poacher's Mark, Life Tap, and Mark on Hit. That's not a bad idea after level 40. So, since Fogshade comes only from level 25, you can use Tabula before that. So Tabula is a very basic pick, just use it up to level 20, with some basic setup like Frostblades, Ruslev, Added Cold, and Chance to Poison. All of those gems are available from level 1, so it's very easy to use them. Moving forward, there's one little cool thing that you can get. Light of Minion for cold damage is very cool, and it should cost like a little less than the Divine right now, so it should be pretty accessible. Feel free to add it to your build and place it in at higher levels, because it's going to provide you a lot of additional damage, at least like 20%, and you're going to kill enemies faster, which will feel pretty cool. I also recommend to use a Steel Skin with Automation and Blood Rage, to ensure that you always will have a Blood Rage up, and with Blood Rage you will get some Frenzy charged on kill. To compensate for Blood Rage you will also need to use Vitality, but it's not a big issue in that setup. So that's generally all that you need to have in here. and with all of those items your leveling approach will be like very smooth. As a movement skill, I recommend to just use a simple lip slam from level 10 together with faster attacks and life tap support. I think life tap is just going to make it a little more smooth and it will be much easier to compensate for it. Talking about the rest, you can also use the haste if you feel like it, but I don't really feel like it's absolutely necessary. In most cases, I think haste is not really needed because it's not going to give you a lot of additional movement speed on top of what you currently have. So, a special important part, don't forget to repick your stuff. So just start with like basic jewels, tabula, and basic swords. But after that, don't forget to repick it to Fox Shade at level 25, repick higher jewels at 40, don't forget to click swords with essences and repick to any big weapon like Rakiata later on if it's necessary. So just keep repicking and I'm sure it's going to feel very good for you. There are also a few little tricks on top of that. If you're going to swap to Rakiatas and just to any other weapons, so you will attack yourself, there's one cool glove that you can use to pretty much feel better. It's Celestial Brace Goliath Gauntlets. With those gauntlets you will receive a lot of additional attack speed, which feels absolutely amazing in campaign. And you will also get melee hits from strike skills Fortify, which is a really cool bonus. So it's pretty simple to use them and you can start from level 53, so in the second part of the campaign, I recommend to at least give them a chance. And another idea that you can use is pretty much using Grace and Haste as your auras, if you are going to use a different weapon for your swords with Envy skill. With Grace and Haste, first you will be able to run faster and attack faster. It will just look awesome. And another step, you will survive better with Grace, but you can also roll a Watcher's Eye with movement speed while affected by Grace. That's a very simple bonus and you can get one for like 70 or something around it chaoses. So don't worry, it's just a simple 15% movement speed bonus, which is pretty easy to get. And I also recommend to use a flask from level 50 with immunity to bleeding and corrupted blood together with instant recovery when on low life. Since you're going to use only one life flask, that flask can help you to survive better in many cases. And talking about your character in the process, so despite the items, I generally recommend to take any good node here for Balada, so you can take any big one here for example, or if you're here like in that part of the tree you can go for Eternal Youth, or here for example for Pain Attainment, a lot of different options. And if it's possible, I recommend to path to Precise Technique, because Precise Technique is a very good node. You're going to receive a lot of accuracy ratings both with your swords and Rakiata. So Precise Technique will help you a lot with just raising your damage. If you're starting as a character such as Witch for example, it would be probably best idea if you stay with minions and just pass to Spiritual Aid to the left, so take all minion nodes there. But if you're starting down there, for example like Duelist, Raider, Shadow, or even Juggernaut, even the Templar I think can even pass there, I still recommend to go here for Precise Technique. I think that's a very cool tech that's going to help you a lot. And don't forget the Light of Minion, because it can provide a lot of damage. Getting one cold, as I already mentioned, is a very simple part. So if Precise Technique is possible, it will be enough to take only one level of accuracy, so here for example, with one mastery, like 500 to accuracy rating and minus accuracy rating per level. That will be enough in almost all cases. And if you're going to go here for Precise Technique, you can also get Freedom of Movement, because Freedom of Movement just providing you phasing and also 10% increased movement speed while phasing. All of that working pretty cool together. You also have an Onslaught here, Leech, and that cluster is probably one of the best leveling clusters in the current game. And for mana management, I recommend to go for like Thrill of Battle, and if you can't, you can try Cannibalistic Rite instead, or for example Spirit of War. All of them are working, and all of those are pretty much going to be good enough to feel good. Also, if you're using an attacking skill for your leveling, it's recommended to get Attack Mastery, Non-Val Strike skills target one additional nearby enemy. That's a very cool bonus, and you can get it here, for example, or here with a short strike, or here, for example, with brinkmanship. So a lot of options here for tribal fury, but just get it because it's going to feel much better. Otherwise, just build in the tree whatever you like at the moment, and it's going to work just fine. So that's been my guide on how to level your alternative character fast. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and stay tuned for more RPG content. See you next time. ronarray out.